So the variants are a potential concern because they could result in increased transmission or increased disease and hospitalizations or death. That's a major worry with the variants, but they're also of a big concern because now that we have vaccines, they possibly have the ability to get past those vaccines. And so they are a concern. However, I would just qualify that with the fact that viruses, as they replicate, they mutate. And so variants and mutations are to be expected. That is not something that's unusual. So the important thing right now is that we limit transmission as much as possible so that we can get people vaccinated before we have variants emerging that can get past the vaccine.
How do variants evolve naturally?
Okay, so as viruses replicate, they will accumulate small mutations in their genomes that results in a variant. And so these small mutations, what they do is change just slightly, for example, the spike protein or any of the viral proteins that make up the coronavirus. And so in changing the shape of that protein, that can change how it interacts with the cells in us that it's going to infect. And so we have generated natural immunity to the viruses that we have encountered, or immunity through the use of the vaccine that allows our immune system to recognize certain characteristics of the virus so that it can stop infection. But what variants do is change the virus just ever so slightly to allow it to escape past that either natural immunity or vaccine induced immunity.
And the current COVID-19 vaccine that many people across the state and across the country are receiving won't prevent against this particular variant or these variants that are emerging?
So there's good news there in that so far the vaccines are still effective against all the variants that have emerged. Some of the vaccines may have slightly reduced efficacy, but remember, in the case of the RNA vaccines, these vaccines are over 90% effective. And so even a slight reduction still leaves us with an incredibly effective vaccine.
Regardless of which vaccine you get, one of them should be able to mount a defense against whichever variant you might be exposed to.
Yes, the vaccines are meant to prevent hospitalizations and death, and all of the vaccines are highly effective at doing that, essentially 100% effective at preventing hospitalizations and deaths, and that is still the case against the variants.
How does this complicate things moving forward when so many of us were thinking that there's light at the end of the tunnel and we'll be on the other side of this soon?
There is light at the end of the tunnel, and we are going to get onto the other side of this. We just need to continue mitigating this virus and getting everybody vaccinated. And so, really, it's an arms race that we're in right now to get as many people vaccinated as possible before variants emerge with any increased ability to get past the vaccine. What the vaccines are designed to prevent against is hospitalizations and severe disease. And these vaccines are incredibly effective at doing that, even against all the variants that we know to date. And so it's very important that we continue tracking these variants. The vaccines are also such that they can be very quickly modified to address any variants that arise. And so I am really very hopeful that the efforts that have been made are really going to pay off in ending this pandemic, what we've accomplished over this past year and what science has brought to us. We just need to continue the efforts to mitigate and vaccinate.
Tell me a bit about those efforts because it's the mask, it's the hand washing. Is there anything new that could prevent further evolution of these viruses?
No, that is just it. We need to continue distancing, masking, and hand washing until we get vaccinated. And then we need to continue these vaccination campaigns, which are working at a really impressive rate to get as many people vaccinated as possible. But viruses don't know borders, so it's also important to remember that even though we here will hopefully, as the president has said, get everybody vaccinated or scheduled to be vaccinated by May 1st, as soon as people start traveling across the world, then we create new risks. So that effort has to continue until really the population globally is vaccinated.
Okay, Dr. Felicia Goodrum from the University of Arizona. Thank you.
Thank you.